is basically a graph just focusing on the Halifax Dartmouth area, but it's looking at the actual sales number. So how many sales have we actually done? Now you can see there's a bump like in almost every year. The difficulty we have is this bump here in 2019 was in May. The next big bump is in like May, June, July. Last year, our big bump was brought forward into April. But look how quickly the drop-off is, all the way down to the number of sales that we did in December, just for the Halifax Dartmouth area, which was 332. So that shows that we're almost getting a compression of the actual bumps that we're getting. So like the first one back in 2018, like that's quite wide. Then it gets a little bit sharper, then it goes wide again, but we're back into a really quick drop-off. And that matches the same thing here when you look at the number of homes for sale. So that tells you the story. Like that's our key issue, is this is back in January 2018, and you can just see it's been a downward trend over the last 3 years until we get like the number of homes for sale in December was only down to 236 in a population of just over 500,000 inside that Halifax Dartmouth area. So that's what's causing our problem. And then when you start looking at the closed price, well, this is the time we should have all bought everything we possibly could. Like January 18, average price 265. Get to December, average price of $443,000. So that's roughly a just under doubling of price in 4 years, 3 years. And that's our key issue when we start looking at what's really going on with the pricing, is we've just gone up, and you can see this is roughly, where's March? Here, April, March, this is the start of when kind of COVID restrictions really came into play. And that's when all of a sudden our housing inventory dropped off. And you can see the prices are just going up. And then, this was November, that was December 2020. And then look at the spike all the way up to March 2021. And then we've kind of bounced around that 400, 450 mark. And now we're down at 443 for December. So when we look at what's really going on, like just looking at the average price and the amount of homes for sale, that shows the problem that we've got is the prices are going up because demand is going up, but supply is going down, and it's going down pretty quick.
So let me interrupt you here before you go to other slides, Richard. As an investor, this is scary to see that multiple offers, over asking, et cetera, However, it appears I can buy a house in Halifax for around 450 average price, where in the GTA, or it's probably more like 975. So can I still buy houses or a house or whatever in Halifax and rent it and get a cash flow?
Yes, because our rents have actually gone up quite substantially. Now that brings us into the next thing, which is the Landlord Tenancy Board introduced through the government a bit of a rent freeze that they were saying was just down to COVID restrictions. What they've done now is, in a similar way, they've introduced rent control all the way to December 2023. So now we can't increase any of our rents by more than 2% a year. Okay. So what we're seeing now is people are moving more towards single-family homes as a rental option, because at least with a single-family home, if somebody's selling it, they're moving out. When you buy a duplex, potentially there's a tenant already in there. The rent is already fixed. You can't go up by more than 2%. So we're seeing a lot of those duplexes and triplexes are actually being bought by people who want to live in one and then just use the other one as a rental opportunity. And, they just like, well, I just want a house to live in. So we've got the rent freeze, but also we still have pretty high rents. Like I've seen single family homes being snapped up at about $3,200 a month for rent.
Whoa. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So in other words, even though you start by scaring the pants off us there with the scarcity and all and prices and peaks and things like that, there is still a way for somebody to buy a house in Halifax with a realtor like you who knows what about real estate investing and who could possibly cash flow on that property, plus see their property and their equity go through the roof over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years because of the appreciation.
Exactly. Yeah. And we're seeing quite a few conversions. So people buying split entry homes or homes that are easily converted into being 2 apartments. And we're seeing people get more and more into those as well, because our restrictions with regards to zoning versus legality of a duplex has changed a lot as well. They've relaxed the rules a lot to say, if you have the ability to make a duplex out of a single family home, we're going to let you do it without requiring anything extra in terms of permits or developments.
Whoa. So there's business to be done here in there in
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
Woo. Okay, that's good news. Continue.
So the only other real one that we do want to look at really is the same thing that happened when it was like the number of houses for sale. As you can see, this gives you another example of, a nice balanced market going back to June 2018, 6.5 months of supply. Whereas now you look at, because we've got no homes for sale, we're down to 0.4 of a month.